All of a sudden, everything is great for the Minnesota Twins, unless it isn't. The Twins have won 4 in a row and seem to have lost the race to the bottom with the Baltimore Orioles, who are still underachieving like a bunch of anti-Lebowskis. Byron Buxton is truly entering his Paul Molitor post-30 everything is awesome period. Will life stay this good? Maybe yes, maybe no, but just in case, you better get Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Locked On Twins, your daily go-to source for the top Minnesota Twins insight, discourse, and analysis. Personally, it's my favorite show of the Imperial Locked On Podcast Network, which, by the way, brings you your team, yours, every day. Don't forget, hit like and subscribe where applicable. I'm Dave Brown, an MLB writer who says that I like my drinking glasses half full, but then I just that just ends up giving me like half a glass to worry about. I'm also a BBWA member and a Hall of Fame voter. Across the Great Plains of cyberspace is Brandon Warren, who wants to believe, but also is conditioned to failure by his teams, pulling out the rug from underneath him every time. What can you do, Charlie Brown? Brandon was a Twins fan who became a Twins writer, and now he's both. You can't find us at Puckett's Pond anymore because they drained it, but there's always Access Twins in zone coverage. On the podcast this time, the Twins are winning but not getting ground on first place. The Twins are winning and giving the Orioles all their bad juju. Byron Buxton is becoming the best version of himself before our eyes. Lou Varland imagined a slip and slide between the mound and first base, making the play anyway, which is amazing for Twins pitchers. Bailey Ober is pitching today because Harrison Bader communicated a disease to Joe Ryan. Who's the next to go down? The Twins seem to have gotten through an ugly part of the season, but there's still stuff to worry about because there always is. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when their first $5 bet wins. Go see FanDuel for more information. And turn off your phones.
Yeah, no kidding. This is actually an exclusive.
Yeah.
I know how Harrison is. I know how Harrison is feeling.
Yeah.
Bader. He's feeling Bader.
Oh.
Sorry, I had to do it. I had to do it to him.
Your puns phoned in. That's terrible.
You know what, though? That was my wife calling me, and that's the one thing I constantly am, like, petrified of is she going to call? Is she going to call? Is she going to call?
Because you can't wait to hear from her.
Well, and because we're planning this evening, not to dive into too far, but I'm going to the Wolves game with our good friend Grant. And so we're coordinating stuff. I got the Twins game at noon. Got to work that. Then we got to go pick one kid up, drop another kid off, pick up another kid, drop another kid off. Hopefully they're my kids and go from there. So a lot going on. But yeah, Harrison is feeling Bader and
Stop
Bailey
it. You already
Ober.
said it once.
Yeah.
Well, we know he's feeling Bader because he hit a home run last night.
Boy, did he ever. Yeah. They said it was his first home run in a month. But this is one of the better free agent signings I can remember the Twins having in a long time. And I think somebody, I think it was our good friend John said, it's so fun to have an 80s style professional wrestler playing left field. And I got the visions of the Dynamite Kid who would jump off the ropes. He was tag partners. He was like with the Hart family, Bret Hart, but like he was so much of a risk taker that it shortened his life. I'm not saying that's true with Bader necessarily, but it seems like he kind of leaves it all out on the field. Plus, I think Bader might be the most technically sound Twin I can remember in a long time. Like every time he catches the ball, he does it picture perfect, sets up to throw. Everything he does seems to be technically sound.
He's also always going to Radio Shack. I don't know where he finds them, but he always goes there for his technically sound equipment. So
growing up, there was a radio station that was in a remanufactured house.
Yeah,
growing up, and it was a funny running joke because I was from a small town, and someone told their kid I'm going to Radio Shack to pick something up, and they're like, "What are you going to KJ 102 for?" And that was the radio station that was in a house, and they thought the Radio Shack was that house.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that was one of my favorite bits from Rozo OGs will remember that one from about 1997 or 1998, which
Well, I'm glad like 2 people get our jokes, so that's good.
that's one more than usual, and that one is usually me.
So the Twins, Harrison Bader homered last night I think that capped off the scoring in a victory against the Orioles.
Yeah.
And the Twins have won 4 in a row, first time since I want to say August 4th of last year that they've won that many in a row. They're not really gaining on first place, so the season it's weird how this season kind of mirrors, not even mirrors, but just is a lot like 2024. Last year it seemed like when the Twins got going after their rough start, they couldn't gain on the Guardians, and now it's the Tigers. So, but I mean, what's more important is I think they have their own house in order, and there's like this race to the bottom for these underachieving teams, them and the Orioles. And I think that the Orioles are going to win the race to the bottom because they keep losing. The Twins do not keep losing, and it's almost like everything that can go wrong for these two teams now, it's just going wrong for the Orioles. There's like a transfer going on.
Well, I think our friend Grant made a good point. I think it was him. The Bader home run, like that was a game that went as you would expect a Rocco managed game to go if it fit your purview. Like, oh man, my starter is running into trouble. I got to get him out of there, even though he's one out away from getting the win. Granted, if your team loses, it doesn't matter if you completed 5 innings, right? Like you have to get the team to win. Don't worry about the pitcher. So they bring in Danny Coulomb. He gets the job done. Twins add runs late, insurance. That was something they never seemed to do really in the last few years. And off to the races. Those 2 runs in the 7th were very, very pivotal for, just kind of making it a little less dicey down the stretch. And,
it gave the bullpen room for, Brock Stewart gave up a home run or whatever.
Well, and Griffin Jacks, he's had some dust ups and he had a little bit of traffic on the bases. And that in the same way, though, got the ball to Duran in the 9th and struck out the side, looked incredible. And it's another W. Twins 3 wins away from 500, if I'm not mistaken. 17 and 20. Meanwhile, the free fall for the Orioles, 13 and 22. I mean, the shoe was going to be on one foot or the other based on who took this series. And luckily for the Twins, it's them. I got a question for you. If the Twins sweep this series, does Brandon Hyde have a ride home?
Well, you have to think just kind of like how we thought that at some point, if the Twins kept losing, it just felt overwhelming that they would have to make a change.
And they've actually been talking about it. They're going to need what we call in the business a scapegoat. It's not that he deserves it. He's not out there throwing hanging curveballs like Charlie Morton, who's now 0-7 with an ERA as high as one of those dicey lines that you call for $1.99 a minute.
There is only so much a manager can do.
Right.
But at the same time, I've having paid attention for some reason to the Orioles a lot this year. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm sometimes a national baseball writer. I've seen their beat writers, not fans, but the writers complain about the lineup. And it's funny. They'd ask Hyde, well, why are you playing these right-handed hitters when they had a semi-active offseason? They added Tyler O'Neill and some other people. And they'd ask Hyde for a quote. Well, why are you platooning all the time? It doesn't just happen in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. He's like, well, the front office went out and they brought these guys in and we're going to play them. Yeah. So it was funny to me how I think that was honest to a certain extent. But also I think I felt a tinge of criticism in what the writers were saying. Like, play Heston Kjerstad and all these other high prospects, put them in the lineup every day. The heck with these older veteran, Jorge Mateo and people like that.
Ramon Laureano.
Yeah, well, he had a home run last night, so
he's at least he's. I think in that way, Hyde's comments could also be, one, I'm doing what the front office told me to do, and I'm doing what the front office told me to do.
Yeah.
Like a shot across the bow, but also honest. And comments like that depending on how terse they are, could indicate a fracture in that relationship. Certainly nobody likes losing. Nobody likes losing. Nobody likes winning if you're a White Sox fan.
I think Twins fans sometimes like losing, or they don't know it. They don't know how to handle anything else.
It's their fuel. It fuels their anger at the world in general of like it's an inadequacy thing. And like they don't know how winning teams operate. Like the Timberwolves were a perfectly solid team this season. And like everybody wanted the coach fired multiple times and they ended up winning 49 games. Like winning teams aren't perfect. Winning teams don't win every single day. Winning teams still shuttle in and out relievers, starting pitchers. Like look at the Dodgers. They're averaging the fewest innings per start, but they're going to be there at the end of it because they're a winning ball team. They figure out how to get it done.
And they put resources into a lot of different areas.
Sure. I mean, to be candid, the
things that don't go well, they have plan B and C in place. So, as for everything that's going well for the Twins right now, I have a complaint, or not a complaint, but a worry, and we'll talk about it after we do our first commercial break.
You got it. Well, first up, we got to talk about our friends at Supply House. You can get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. That's Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. They have an easy-to-use website that is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And if you're a trade pro, easy for me to say, looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5, that's SamHorn5, for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And we also have to give a little love to FanDuel. We know the NBA playoffs are in full swing. I know because I get to go to a game tonight. You boys going to check out the Wolves evening the series with the Warriors at a game apiece. Let's hope. But every night delivers highlight-worthy performances as long as you're not looking at the Wolves shooting threes, major momentum shifts, and can't miss moments or only miss moments. Again, back to the Wolves and shooting threes. But whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel wants to make it easy for you to stay in the game both before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If who do you think is heating up for the Wolves? Hopefully it's somebody. Hopefully it's Naz Reid. Hopefully it's one of those guys. We can make him Naz Threed. And you can use that to back up, use a same-game parlay. If you feel like he is heating up and you want to get in on that action, somebody's got to heat up. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, like you can't keep missing them. Dante DiVincenzo. Also, $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So if you love that first $5 bet and you think it's a gimme, you get $200 in bonus bets when that wins. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, again, $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Locked On Twins has returned for our second segment, and we're talking about the Twins, obviously. Winning 4 games in a row, getting closer to 500, not necessarily closer to first place. Brandon, you mentioned something yesterday, like if you accept or even like how Rocco manages a game, yesterday was sort of like the 100th percentile of it.
Mm-hmm.
He replaced Simeon Woods Richardson. He'd only thrown 60 or 61 pitches. But it looked like Simeon was starting to get hit pretty well. the Orioles had a lineup full of left-handed batters. So in the 5th inning, they brought in Danny Coulombe to get out of a jam and then face more left-handers basically in the next inning. It was, not the end of a game, but it was the middle of the game where it looked like maybe the Orioles were going to chip away at the lead and possibly even take the lead. And, you've mentioned also how rare it seemed lately that the Twins have been able to add on a lot of runs. So it was a conservative, but also kind of radically conservative moment. And I saw a few complaints from a lot of times they're concerned trolls.
The usual suspects.
The usual suspects. But I do think maybe they had half a point or were close to having a point. I don't think the bullpen at large is going to be overworked based on their usage so far. There's enough relief pitchers. They're just not overworked, with one possible exception, and that actually is the guy who kind of saved the day in the middle of the game.
Yep.
Coulombe, who's been basically perfect against left-handed pitching and also really good against right-handed pitching. There's one thing about his season that is troubling me. It's May 8th, and he's just about halfway to his total innings from last year. And he doesn't have a real deep history of going far into games. Now, his injury last year was bone chips, and it cost him a couple months in the middle of the season. He came back toward the end of the season. He didn't feel like he was really ready to pitch his best, but he's a pretty good pitcher, so he was able to get guys out anyway. I worry that he is a guy that Rocco is going to lean on too much. You know how last year the lefties were so bad, and Rocco's like, "Oh, I got a lefty. This is great." And Coulombe is a guy who's, he's other than Duran, he's pitched better than any of their relief pitchers so far. He's a high leverage guy to have. And I'm kind of worried that he's not going to be there at some point this season, just because pretty much every other season he's had a period where he's missed innings. And he's got I think his career high is 51. So he's not halfway to that. But last year he had 29. And he's more than halfway or about halfway to that right now.
Well, and given the team's insistence on having a lefty, the drop-off from Coulombe to Cody Funder down under, as of right now, feels significant. Yes. And maybe it's a bad time to bring this up, but Caleb Thielbar's pitching pretty dang well for the Cubbies. So, it's just how it goes. I'm not trying to be. There's a whole bit started by Dan Barrero that's we didn't need him, and it's anytime a former player does well. Jorge Polanco is the big one right now. We didn't need him, and it's stupid. I'm not trying to say that. It's just, good for Caleb, good for him. Velo's down a little bit, but he's finding ways to make it happen for a Cubs team that has captured the hearts and minds of Chicago baseball fans everywhere north of, I don't know, whatever the middle of Chicago is.
Madison is the middle.
Well, so we'll see how Coulombe goes throughout the year, but it is nice too to have sort of an interchangeable mix of guys who can pitch in certain spots. If you don't use Cole Sands one night in the 7th inning or 8th inning, you don't feel that weird about putting him out there. The A's in a recent game put one of their youngsters in there. Is it Murdoch, who has an ERA of 10, and he pitched an 8th inning with a 1-run lead, and it did not go well. Shocking and appalling to all of those who were watching. The Twins are in a good spot with their bullpen, both in terms of health and in terms of general performance. It's just a matter of, how do you not overuse Coulombe? How do you not overuse another guy, Louis Varland, who's pitched? I think he's near or is the leader in appearances among relievers. Great acrobatic play on Wednesday night's game, but that too, that go to show. It just everything goes to show that everything just kind of lined up. Everything came up Millhouse last night for the Twins. Everything worked out. I think it may even speak a little bit more to how much despair surrounds the Orioles right now. I guess they're circling the drain and they're doing it quickly.
Well, you got to take advantage of beating teams when they're down. I mean, I don't think the Orioles are a bad team, but they certainly aren't playing well. And the Twins, there's plenty of time for sympathy after the fact, but they got to go out there and win these games. I think that's what Rocco was. Sometimes we get on Stephen Vogt for, I think fairly, for overusing the bullpen. And it's like, dude, it's April 30th. Why are you bringing in Hunter Gaddis for the third game in a row? And I don't know that he literally did that, but I think it's important at the moment for the Twins. There'll be a time when Coulomb will get his rest. I think there is another side of this where it's maybe more of a long-term thing with the team than a short-term, but the inability or the distrust or however you want to call it of pitching SWR and Paddock also later in the games. They can't, Paddock can't really, you don't want Paddock going 6 because bad things are probably going to happen.
He's pitched exactly 5 innings in his last 5 starts. Like, there's a pattern here.
There's not. That's on purpose. Yeah. And SWR, I was excited yesterday because he had a low pitch count and he was in the 5th inning. I'm like, oh man, maybe he could go 6.
Yeah,
but he was
his career low. His
really
career low in pitches through 5 completed innings was 63. So he was in contention to beat that. Like he was in the 50s and was toying around with like Emmanuel Rivera, Heston Kjerstad. So he was in that mix, but the lineup turned over a 3rd time. And so there's no coincidences there. He was in trouble 3rd time through the order. SWR's kind of got maybe a little more than the Bailey Ober kid gloves from a few years ago, probably closer to like Chris Archer. I don't know if you recall how they used him and Dylan Bundy, but it was very much the same way. Eventually you can probably let SWR pitch through some of these things, but right now you need to start racking up wins because, like you said, you're not catching up to Detroit with the way things are going for them right now. So you've got to kind of hold serve and hope that Detroit cools off a bit.
Well, with the wild card, and this is kind of the thing that is built into the wild card system. You don't really need to catch up to Detroit.
Right.
I mean, it would be nice to have one of the 2 best records in the league and have a bye in the playoffs, but that's probably fool's gold at this point. But the other side of this thing is you've got Festa in the minors, and this is a place where the Twins could be better. Yeah. It's not that SWR and Paddock aren't doing pretty well for 4th or 5th starters, but what if the Twins had another guy in the rotation who pitched like Ober or Ryan or Pablo, and maybe that's a lot, but maybe Ober is more the guy who could get them into the 6th inning sometimes and put up zeros, for 5 innings rather than allowing 3 runs. Festa might be the guy. That's a place they could improve. You can't necessarily you could put SWR in the bullpen, and that might be something that he could do. And the same goes for Paddock, just because there aren't enough. They won't go deep enough to hurt you 3rd time around. But you probably couldn't put both of those guys in the bullpen. So
I have an idea.
Yes.
Like on a Sunday where you have Monday off, what if you brought up Festa and then did a piggyback thing where the first guy went 5 innings, the next guy Festa went 4, and you rest your bullpen for 2 days if you can.
Well, I don't think resting the bullpen, except for Coulomb's elbow, is really that much of a problem so far. I think they're rested. I think Rocco is disciplined enough to not overuse the relief pitchers, with the exception of Coulomb so far.
To maybe his peril in an opposite of the Vogt way.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's paranoid about having it. He's worried about August, but he's also worried. He's on the one hand, he's worried about August. He's also worried about stacking wins when they can right now, especially when they've been so hard to.
Well, we saw August last year. He's justifiably worried.
Yes. And so we're going to justify our existence with some commercials, and we're going to do that right now and then come back and talk more Twins.
If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Do not accept any imitators, because I learned the hard way that not any other pistachio can match up to wonderful pistachios, which are one of the highest protein nuts you're going to find out there. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, which is over 10% of your expected daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. And as I said too, I think they have a little melatonin in them to help you get some nice beauty rest at the end of the day. That's why my wife eats them right before bed. It works out well. She loves the ones in the shell, but the unshelled ones are a little quicker. You know, if you're a little more hasty with your pistachio consumption than my wife or I am. But either way, they taste delicious. They're nutritious. They help you with fiber and all that good stuff. Get snackin and get crackin with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Locked On Twins has returned for our final segment. And I want to touch on Byron Buxton had the big hit early in the game yesterday. Again, a 3-run homer. And I just kind of marvel at how well he is playing. And, of course, we always knock on wood when we talk about Byron because of his injury history. But he's certainly due some good luck there. And his offensive stats, he does lead the league in strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
So there's, I guess, a caveat there.
And he has no interest in walking. None whatsoever.
No, which is, sometimes it's frustrating because it's like, I've seen this guy have good at-bats before and spit on pitches that were low and away or whatever. But, he's got his process and it's working because he is 9th in the league in slugging percentage. He's 3rd in runs scored, 7th in total bases. He is 5th in home runs, 5th in RBIs. And as we said, and also 10th in stolen bases. So extra base hits, he's also 8th.
Yeah,
he's hitting the ball hard and he's hitting it far.
Yeah, he's an extra base hit merchant. Let's just call it like the kids would say it. He very rarely hits singles, it feels like. And any single he hits is liable to turn into a double if he's got a mind for it. But why walk when you can run as fast as Byron Buxton?
I can't help but think, too, of the conversations that you've relayed before talking to Paul Molitor talking about Byron Buxton in the past, saying, there's no reason. I liked his optimism here. Mm-hmm. There's no reason you can't have a better career in your 30s, a healthier career. I did it. Mm-hmm. And, their situations aren't exactly the same. But Molitor, in addition to his off-the-field troubles, was a guy that got hurt a lot, and maybe those actually are related somehow. But in his 20s and had trouble staying on the field, and had to switch positions a couple times because of it, and other inconveniences. But he eventually became the best version of himself in the 30s, and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. And I don't know that Byron Buxton is headed to the Hall of Fame, but he's all the promise that everybody had. That he showed early in his career, it's coming to fruition, and that's another reason why I, except for a few moments so far this season, have remained optimistic about where the Twins might be going because of how good Byron Buxton can be, and he's just been amazing and a great leader and so much fun to watch.
I haven't allowed myself to feel concerned at any point for him, and that's. I don't know if that says more about me or more about how he's going, or maybe some combination of the two. But even when he dives and makes a catch, how he's popped up and been just good as ever. It's a special player. I don't know where I would bat a guy with that skill set, because if he's driving the ball like he is, he might be better suited for 2, 3, 4. But then who leads off? There's no real natural leadoff candidate either. So nevertheless, Twins taking leads early the last few games, which has been solid. Also, Twins, since I want to say it's April 8th, have the lowest starting pitcher ERA in MLB. So it's the formula is there. We thought they were going to have the best bullpen. And turns out their rotation is where it's at right now, and the bullpen is still pretty dang good. We've beat this point into the ground, but if they score at least 4 runs, they're in good shape to win on any given day. And pitching staff's getting it done. I've been very, very happy with how they've done things on that side of the ball.
Kind kind of a nice sidebar yesterday. I don't remember the name of the organization of the charity, but the Twins players and staff and Orioles too got together to pack up food for
our families or something.
Yes. And the Orioles joined them. Kyle Gibson, former Twin, was part of it. And that's teams do this. Organizations are cognizant of their place in the community, so it's still a good thing. If nothing else, it reminds fans out there that there are more important things in life than necessarily the baseball standings, and there are also people who need your help, and they're not going to get it from certain places. So it's kind of up to us to help the people who need it the most. And I just thought the Twins and the Orioles were giving a good example to set for everyone else in the community by doing that.
No, yeah, that's a great point. And I feel like the Twins have been very community minded. The Twins Community Fund is always at the forefront of anything they're doing, whether it's Twins Fest, or they used to have the banners that would say like Mauer's Minis and Morneau's Mounties, which was tickets for underprivileged kids and that sort of thing. So they're always very community minded, which you love to see.
They're also maybe communicable disease minded, because Harrison Bader apparently has given mono or something to, I don't know if it's mono, but now Joe Ryan is not pitching today because he's feeling ill. We've seen Bader get over it. So hopefully if it is the same thing, Joe Ryan will be able to pitch the next day, but Bailey Ober is going to go today. They've been kind of, when they've had an opportunity to space out games between starts, if it's give an extra day here or there, hopefully that will help. It would be nice to kind of not put the Orioles out of their misery, because I think they're going to have some misery this weekend as well, and upcoming until they fix all their problems. But Bailey Ober is going to go today, and not Joe Ryan. So in case you set your fantasy baseball rosters accordingly. But
yeah, don't you still have Ober in ours?
You have Ober, don't you?
No,
or do I? Yeah, I have Ober. That's right.
Yeah, you had him. This one is Ober. No,
when are we going to make a trade, Brandon?
Well, probably soon. Yeah, the Orioles go to Los Angeles / Anaheim / Orange County to take on the Angels. So
that could get them healthy.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But that's
who's coming to Minnesota?
San Fran.
Another orange team.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Is orange in season right now? I don't know. I'm not.
No, it's not hunting season. That's more of an October thing. It's fishing season.
Hunting season in Minnesota. Who are you crapping?
Well, yeah, true.
On that note, we want to thank you for making Locked On Twins your first listen today. For your second listen, check out all the new Locked On MLB, the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. If I could read. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So thank you for listening to this one. The Twins play according to how things are going to publish, probably in about 10 minutes. So hopefully the narrative doesn't change too much. For Brandon Warren, I'm Dave Brown, wishing you all a very pleasant good evening, saying we will Alexei Casilla tomorrow night.